Welcome to the Florida Real Estate and Entrepreneur Podcast, where we interview the best and the brightest business and real estate leaders. Our mission is to inspire and help 1,000 entrepreneurs to start and succeed in real estate and entrepreneurship. We will give you the exact playbook to succeed in your business through the experience of those who blaze the path. We're bringing the what's working today directly to you. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Florida Real Estate and Entrepreneur Podcast. I have an awesome guest today, my friend and amazing digital marketer, coach, business leader, somebody that I personally follow because she just shares so much value, Allie Bjerk. Did I say it correctly?
You did, absolutely. Okay,
great. Crushed it. I call her Allie B for short. She's amazing, and I'm so grateful that she could come on here today. A lot of times I bring on Florida entrepreneurs and, real estate professionals, business owners. I've had salon owners on here. I've had other digital marketers on here. And the idea is that we have a space for folks in Florida to get as much value as possible. And frankly, Allie, for us, the idea for this particular podcast is I don't want to compete with the national big brands. I want to be very local and helpful to the folks in Florida. But a lot of people, regardless of where they're at, can benefit greatly just from your story and what you do for people, and especially in the female entrepreneur space. But obviously I follow you and I've got great admiration for you. So it's kind of agnostic, but I do think you do a lot for that space. So with that said, why don't you tell us where you started? How did you get into this digital marketing and coaching space? And then what's your journey been up to this point?
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for having me. First of all, Adam, I'm really excited to be here. I know we've been friends now for probably a couple years, but it's been really fun to see your journey and to stay connected. Started out in the real estate space and now, just chit-chatting general business stuff too. So that's been awesome. And thank you for having me. My story is a long one, so I have to think of which shortened version to tell based on what makes the most sense for your audience. But I went to school for graphic design and marketing, double majored in those. And I thought I was going to go and be a designer, but realized pretty quickly that the marketing side was almost more interesting to me. I just loved watching how people's brains worked and why we bought things. And my first job out of college, I graduated from college in 2008, ended up being in sales because the economy, I couldn't really find a design job at the time. So I went into sales and I learned a lot about the sales side of things too, and how to get people to buy things along with marketing and, the good design background that I had too. So had a really kind of unique skill set, got a job finally in my field working for a marketing agency, worked there about a year, had my first child, realized really quickly that I wasn't really cut out to be an employee, especially when I started looking at what the agency was billing hourly for my time versus what I was being paid. There was a huge discrepancy. They were charging $100 an hour and I was making $17 an hour and trying to pay for daycare. And we had student loans, a newlywed pretty much, renting a house. I knew we wanted to buy a house. So it was just kind of the American dream that I thought I had done everything right. I went to school, got the degree, got married, had a kid, and all the check boxes that I thought were going to make me happy, I was now in this job and I was totally miserable. I had a ton of postpartum anxiety where I just didn't feel like I was on the right path somehow. So I ended up freelancing just to try to see if I could make a little bit of money and maybe potentially replace my income. And I had this idea of romanticizing what it would be like to work at home with kids. And I would be, snuggling my baby on client calls, and it would just be romantic and amazing and, this perfect dream life. It didn't actually turn out like that. It was very, very hard to do. But I ended up replacing my income. I think in the first 60 days of freelancing, I had already brought in enough clients, and I was going to BNI at 6 o'clock in the morning and networking. And my first clients were tourism agencies and insurance people, and even a title company was one of my clients where I was doing graphic design and social media marketing for them. And from there, I kind of evolved into realizing that there was this online business space. There were other women like me who were working at home, who were designers, who were coaches, who were helping people just only online. And I started transitioning my business from being an in-person kind of like marketing agency freelancer type business into being an online business. And then I started teaching myself how to run Facebook ads, how to build sales funnels, how to do lead generation for companies. And all of these different, every time I realized that I wasn't doing the best possible job for a client because I didn't know the next step for them, or I was doing social media marketing for someone and I was like, man, I feel like ads would help them get more traffic. I would go out and teach myself ads so that I could then provide ads to the client. And if they didn't have a good enough website, I would go teach myself website design or, funnel design. So I just kept expanding my skill set. And eventually I got to the point where instead of having one boss, like I had so many clients that I felt like I had 20 bosses, 25 bosses, and I was behind the scenes. And in my industry, in this coaching online business industry, I mean, people are selling courses, they're selling these coaching programs, and they have these big launches that are, six figures sometimes. And I was behind the scenes running these launches for people. And again, I realized my own block and I was like, oh, if I could be the front person, I could have my own funnels or I could have my own digital products, my own coaching programs, then I wouldn't feel like I had all of these bosses who were, I was freelancing for all these different companies. So I finally ended up, and this is a long story in itself, but I ended up launching my own digital product. That product was a $27 digital product social media calendar that ended up selling six figures in less than 90 days. So it totally blew my mind for what was even possible in online business, in digital products. And then everybody who had seen my journey up until that point was like, how did you do this? Like, how did you build that funnel? How did you run the ads to it? How did you position this entire thing? And the tiny offer system was kind of birthed out of that. I ended up trademarking Tiny Offer as a type of funnel. It's a self-liquidating ad funnel. So you can run ads to a product that essentially cancels out your ad spend right on the spot. And then you have an email list full of buyers that is a lot more effective in the long run. That's like a decade in 10 minutes.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. I mean, a $27 product that makes over $100,000 is like a lot of products. I'm not going to do the math on that, but it's a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot.
So I don't know that people realize how hard it is to get somebody to click and even buy something for $1. It is a challenge. But what you did that really just you finished college. Why did you keep learning? You were done. You had already done it. I don't understand.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't know. I've always loved learning and I knew that I wanted to keep achieving and keep growing. And, it's kind of weird because I was a total slacker in high school and college. So then to graduate and become this self-obsessed, personal development obsessed person, it was a really big shift for me because I was, total party girl up until that point and I wasn't really interested in school a whole lot. So I don't know. The idea of continuing to learn and better myself as a result became really attractive. Maybe when I had my kid, I don't know, maybe that kind of shifted things for me and made me want to keep improving myself.
It's fascinating. I've got tons of academic training, college, stuff in the military, lots of very formal stuff. And until you get exposed to it, you don't realize there's a whole world of informal education that's more practical. Literally, I can go out and learn how to run. I can go out and learn how to set up a tiny offer from you and learn how to have a self-liquidating offer, which you said, and people probably are like, I kind of get it, but I don't know. So, for a self-liquidating offer, it basically allows you to spend ad money that you're going to get returned to you, but now you're collecting all these potential clients into your world, which then you could sell something else, or you could sell coaching, or, you could have other products and services you could offer to those folks that are the person you're looking for in the first place because they bought your $27 offer and they are clearly hungry for what you have. So that's really cool. And yeah, I think that the informal education space is really powerful. I think sometimes it gets a bad rap because of marketing and how we do marketing and how we understand, to your point early, you learn sales. So you learn that there's a psychology behind how people buy. And oh, by the way, it's not just, the quote unquote smaller 7 and 8 figure earning marketers. It's the grocery store does it to you too. They set up the aisles with certain colors and things in certain places, and Walmart and Best Buy and every big company has studies behind the psychology of how people buy. And they also do that to the consumer in that kind of way. But I do think the coaching space, the kind of informal 7 to 8 figure level coaching space gets a bad rap. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of times from what I've seen, and I've been in this industry for a long time, but a big part of it is the sensationalism of the marketing isn't always backed up with the result focused or the operations and the delivery side. That's usually where it falls flat because you have a lot of these marketers that hype up the programs. And then once you get in, it doesn't always deliver what they said it was going to. So I think that's a big reason why some people have gotten a little jaded and I think the buying cycle has definitely changed in 2024 compared to what it was in 2019 or 2018. Because people, they see this, I mean, every other ad in my newsfeed is like, make $1 million in 2 days, like that kind of sensational messaging that it just doesn't even feel real anymore for a lot of people.
It's kind of like the quintessential cringe snake oil feel when you see that kind of stuff. And some people love it and believe in it. Like I was sold into programs and that I'm incredibly grateful for. I learned some very, very tangible skills that have legitimately made me a bunch of money. And I know you have too, like,
Yeah, same.
maybe we don't love certain parts of certain coaching programs, but at the end of the day, we learn skills and take those skills with us, and we learn what we don't like too.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So I think for folks now, so you learned all these skills. You're an incredible digital marketer. You know how to run ads. You know how to set up all the like tactical things, the video sales letters, like all the stuff that should be in it to drive traffic, to get people to buy something. And now you teach that to other people in the industry. Who's like your primary avatar? Who are the people you're helping the most today?
Yeah, the people that I serve the most are definitely female entrepreneurs, not on purpose, just kind of how it ended up happening. I think we oftentimes will hire people that look like us or have a similar experience to what we have that are relatable for our life experience. So a lot of them are probably mid-30s up to 50 who have a thing that they want to become known for. You know, they're experts or personal brands. They created some business idea around something they were self-taught in. So if they're a yoga teacher who created a really great yoga practice, then they want to teach other yoga teachers how to build the same systems or how to repeat their results. So it's a lot of people who are in oftentimes either the B2B space where they're coaching other coaches, as cheesy as that sounds, or people who are in B2C where they've become an expert in something and now they want to help other consumers. And it could be like nutrition coaches who want to share their meal plans with the masses, or people who, want to sell their workouts to a bunch of people, stuff like that.
I think, gosh, you're spot on. You kind of look at people who look like you, have similar core values as you, have similar life challenges as you, similar pain points that you've personally overcome. Like you're overcoming things on a daily basis that I don't personally have to deal with. So, but I still follow you. I'm still in your avatar group because I'm legitimately watching what you do and how you do it. And I'm always impressed and trying to learn what I can.
Yeah, thank you.
So to your point, I saw an Instagram story from you just before this where you're like, hey, the moms need more people that have the same kind of challenges as them, the moms, the wives, all the challenges that come with that are helping them get to their goals more so than a guy like me who I'm not a mom. Like I have a wife who's a mom and I look at what she does and I'm like, ugh, that's hard. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be the default. I won't be as good at her as being the default parent. I think you use those words like the kids. I will be sitting next to my kids on the couch,
Mom.
like right next to them. They'll be doing something and they'll say, "Hey, Mom, can you help me?" And I'm like, "Come on, guys, I'm right here. I can help you right now." She's busy. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about that because clearly it is not the same. Like it is not the same. You have different challenges. Why do you think somebody who has like, I'm thinking like I'm a stay-at-home mom. I have skills. I know that I have this, like, I want to be a stay-at-home mom, but I have this guilt because I want to, go after what my dreams once were. And I want to be an earner for our family. Those are all things I'm sure way on the, if you have a traditional kind of marriage there where, you have a stay-at-home mom and a working father or husband. So why do you think that they're better suited to come work with somebody who has those same challenges? Like what's unique about that you can help define and show that person the path?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I mean, I think obviously scheduling is one of the top of mind things for me today. As my story was like, I'm trying to balance doing a Target pickup for a gift for a birthday party and a wedding shower party. And we also have a retirement party this afternoon for one of the teachers. So it's in my brain that I have to check off all that stuff too. And I had to get the kids up and out the door, pack the lunches, and then sit down and have, I had a coaching call that I ran this morning. Now I'm on a podcast. So it's like the compartmentalization.
And you put on makeup in between.
And I did, yes. And I got ready today, which I almost, I had like a 10-minute window to get camera ready, and that doesn't always work out well either. But it was just so having, for that context, like we have a friend in common, Bill Allen, like he didn't understand the term get ready. Like you have to get ready to be on camera. And he's like, what is this get ready thing? Like, well, I don't understand what women are getting ready. Like, well, it means hair, makeup, you have to get camera ready. So even just the context of that, it's like, it's a totally different perspective of the mental juggle that we have to go through, and all the, like, we don't just have the bandwidth of like, okay, clients, calls, sales, leads, how are we going to keep the business running? But like, how do we make sure if the kid comes home from school and they're in a mood, like, how do I make sure I have enough bandwidth to hold base for them and say, what happened at school? Do you need to talk about it? Like, do we need to go for a walk? Just being present enough to be aware of what the kids are going through at the same time. So I think from my perspective, it is different. And I've had some amazing male coaches. Like I've worked directly with Russell Brunson and Frank Kern, and it's just not even on their radar. Like some of that stuff is not something they would ever consider. And if they're thinking of their morning routine, it doesn't include, the 2 hours of packing lunches and getting kids dressed and making breakfast and all that stuff. From my experience anyways.
Yeah. I think that's a totally fair assessment. And I would venture to guess, like, even from those guys, Russell and all your male counterparts that, you've worked with, either been coached by or just worked with in general, like they do things good. And I'm sure you took good stuff from them, but it's not the same. I'm curious too, because as a mother and a wife, your priority one can quickly shift from, you kind of mentioned this a little bit, your kid comes home in a bad mood and you are the default kind of soothing for that child. Oftentimes, not that the husband or father can't do anything, but it's just usually not as effective. I know.
That
I try.
Nature, yeah.
They just need mom sometimes. But you're super successful. You're running a great business. You're super talented, and I got a coaching call. I got to like prep this offer. I got these high priority business things. But then it's 2:00 in the afternoon. The kids come home and they decouple your entire schedule. So how do you deal with that? How do other moms deal with that? Because I think that weighs heavy on particularly the wife and the mother when you have two kind of entrepreneurs, or two people that are, one, your husband's working and you're trying to earn money through entrepreneurship, which is a great pathway. How do you deal with that? How do you manage that? What are some tactics, techniques, things that you do?
Yeah, I think so. I schedule everything in my calendar, and I have, pickup time, because I love being the one that picks them up from school. I mean, we could use buses. There are other options, but I just like to be the one that picks them up and gets to be the first person to ask them how their day was. So I have that blocked in my calendar, and it's a non-negotiable time. Like I can never schedule a meeting in that time, but I've also learned that I need some transition time to chill out a little bit before I'm now in mom mode and checking how their day was. So I try to not schedule meetings that could run into that time or just overrun my mood right before I'm going to see them, and give myself the space to kind of switch over. But it can be hard. Like I know when I go on a work trip and I can do whatever I want and eat whenever I want and have whatever space I want for 3 or 4 days, and I come home and they're a little needier because I've been gone. Like it is really hard to jump back into that mode and not be a little overwhelmed, and kind of just like that reintegration phase. It is totally different. So I think it's just something I've had to learn over time, and I'm definitely not perfect, and I'm a work in progress. But some other advice that I have gotten from multiple coaches is like, one fear that I always had was like, if I get too busy, I'm gonna end up sacrificing my relationship with my kids, or like my business grows, or if I'm successful. I had all these fear of success stories, and then somebody told me like, no, what actually happens is when you're successful, you can afford to hire out the stuff that you don't like to do anyway, that's already taking you away. So if it's like cleaning or laundry or dinner prep or whatever, what I've been able to do with how I built my business and how I prioritize things is I have a home manager who comes a couple days a week, like maybe 8 hours a week, and she helps me prep meals meals and chop ingredients so I can just throw things together. She does the laundry. She does some light cleaning. So like I don't have to be taken away for something that was, kind of on my task list anyway. I've been able to sub out and learn how to delegate and how to lead and hire in the home too, not just inside of my business. So I think that was some really great advice that I got early on that I think is hard for some women to let go of those things because it feels like, maybe we're not doing our job, quote unquote, or we're not, like I should be the one cleaning my house, or this is my, my home. It feels weird to hire it out. Like, what if the neighbors see the cleaner's car in my driveway? Like, it's going to feel awkward. So there are some things that we have to let go of or adjust to if we want to have it all. I mean, you can't do everything all the time. So I've learned a lot about efficiency and saying no to a lot of stuff and hiring out pieces that I want to have done in a certain way, but I don't have time to do myself.
So you're saying it's actually possible to build a business as a stay-at-home mom, to do multiple seven figures top line and be able to hire these things out. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, at certain stages. I mean, it was really, really, I mean, of course, anything's possible, but it was much harder when my kids were 5 and under. Like now I'm coming from the perspective where I've got a 12, a 9, and a 7-year-old, and they can make themselves a sandwich if they really want to. They're not, like if I'm on a call and they are home, say they have to stay home sick for the day or something. Like my son was sick the last 2 days. He just wanted to hang out and watch movies, and he's 12. Whereas before, when he was 2, he would need to be held and snuggled for the times that he was sick. So it definitely gets easier. But I think I've been doing this 10, 12 years now, and it was way, 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 way harder in the beginning. So I don't want to forget that part either, or that phase. I mean, I definitely had to work very early mornings or nap time. And I don't know if I necessarily had the mental bandwidth. I had so much brain fog in those days and just exhaustion that I don't know if I could have built a multi-7-figure business in those time periods, but everything I did then cascaded into what I'm doing now. So I guess that would be my context is start tiny, of course, because that's what I teach inside of my business. But I think building the foundational pieces with what I had when I could was really important to get here today.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting time. I have the luxury of my wife stays at home. She's also an entrepreneur, kind of your avatar. I think we've talked about this before. Yeah. But these moms, like I guess her generation of moms who were in the trenches with the young kids through COVID it's a really interesting bunch, right? Because everybody turned to social media and online, which created a massive opportunity to make money online because everybody was there. Like your client was just online. They didn't really have anything else to do. And I saw a lot of these stay-at-home moms either propel the businesses they had been making. Like I knew a spouse she had been blogging for a long time, and she was making an extra 60-70 grand a year just with her blog and affiliates and things like that. And that inspired my wife to start her Instagram. And I think that's kind of like, you have a lot of people who were born kind of out of that phase with the young kids. But today, if you had somebody, kind of the story that I think of, and I see this particularly on the mom-wife side, is like, I'm ambitious, but I'm ambitious, kind of changing to being ambitious about, motherhood, but I also kind of want to make money. So like for somebody today with, say, younger kids, 3 to 7, what would you say the best way for them to get started to maybe get up to making 50 or 60 grand net to them a year?
Yeah. So my very first thing was selling digital products on Etsy, like before I ever did anything else. And I remember I made $1,000 in a single month from Etsy. And I was like, what's happening? This is amazing. Can't believe I just made $1,000 from nothing, like just digital products. And I learned I knew marketing and SEO. So I created this optimized Etsy site and made $1,000 from selling like nursery prints. Like I'd started with what I knew. What I was passionate about was baby stuff at the time because I had baby stuff everywhere. Actually, it was like wedding invitations. So I was selling digital wedding invitations because I had just gotten married and that was top of mind. And then it switched to babies because, that was just the life path that I was on. But I learned a lot about just selling something and learning about creating something once and reselling it over and over again. So I have some clients who are homeschooling and they're super passionate about the homeschooling materials they're creating and the activity lists they're creating for their kids that they can turn around and sell on Etsy. Or, for them, I'm teaching them how to build a sales funnel and how to run ads to their funnel, but they're selling some digital version of what they're passionate about. And same with moms who love to work out and they have a workout plan, or they have some type of method they're following that helps them be able to stay in shape and have kids all over the place. So they are teaching other people that thing. So I think whatever someone's passion is, there is a way to monetize it, and there is a way to create it once and then sell it over and over again with digital products, no matter what somebody's niche is.
Yeah, I think that's
it's easy for mom. I mean, not easy, but it's not connected to our time, I guess, is the biggest reason it's worked for me, is because I can be selling it consistently behind the scenes and I'm not even at my computer when that's happening.
Yeah, I think the last thing, a mother with young kids needs is something else requiring more requirements. They don't need more things piled on. But I mean, when it's their passion, it's easy to kind of do it once and then resell it over and over again. And then that's going to generate excitement. And they're going to start to get their time freed up. Like you said, your kids are older. Mine are 6 and 11. So they're at the age as well where it's becoming easier and easier before the crazy teenage years.
Right.
And
it's like the sweet spot, I've heard.
Yeah, we're in the sweet spot. So it's like a good time to build something, start to sell it, and then maybe even grow it if you start to get more time on your hands, which I think is fascinating. So I'm thinking of some of these folks who are, maybe they're not tech savvy though. Like they have a passion, they have a thing that would sell that people do want. Maybe they don't know that, but they probably do have something that people would buy. There are other people just like them, whether it's a basic printable or something like that, but they're not tech savvy. So like, how is it possible that they could do it? Like they don't know how to run ads. They're not trained marketers. They're not salespeople. They don't even they don't want to sell something to somebody. It's like feels icky, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the platforms that are already, you're kind of tapping into their marketplace. Like if you're selling something on Etsy, that's an easy way to start. Or even just getting familiar with it services are always the easiest thing to sell. If it's social media marketing or something that you can do online, even being somebody's virtual assistant where you're helping them check their email, or there are ways that you can have an online business. Then you have someone who, you're beholden to their time and what they're telling you to do. It's not as passive. But yeah, I mean, there are lots of different ways to start at-home businesses, especially with little ones around.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of, there are people who will help you. You kind of mentioned this earlier. You don't have to have everything figured out. You just kind of start down the path and then see how much you want to add and grow your business if you do at all. And what's going to make you happy. And then there are people who can come in and help you. There's done for you services. There's done with you services. There's, like kind of hand holding coaching to get you up and running and kind of automated. And I don't, if you're not in this world, like you're in this world, I'm kind of in this world, not as good as you, but a lot of these folks have most of their stuff automated, from responses on social media to like email, strands of emails going out. A lot of it's automated. Can you just kind of talk about what that looks like for some of these clients you have that have put together a really cool offer and then learn how to automate their business through you?
Yeah, absolutely. So for everything that I do, I'm not on social media a ton. I mean, I kind of am just as a running, it's almost my own little reality TV show. Like I just kind of pop in and talk about what I'm doing, but I'm not very strategic with my social media because all of my strategy comes through Facebook ads or Instagram ads. So the way my systems work usually is that I have an ad that goes to a landing page that talks about the product that I have. If someone checks out and they put their credit card information in or they use PayPal, then that goes through the cart back end of my software that I'm using, and then it sends them an email delivering the product. And then there are more emails that go out that introduce me, talk a little bit about my story, encourage them on what they could create. And then that drops into another email sequence that then sells something. It could be another course, or it could be asking them to book a call with my team just to chat about what we have available that might be a good fit for them. So it's all emails that I probably sat down in an afternoon with a Google Doc open and wrote all the emails, and then I could just copy and paste them into the automation. And now every single person goes through it as if I were just sending the email right there directly to them. It's paced correctly, so they sign up and then they get it 12 hours later or whatever it might be. So it's a lot of create once and program in, and then it just auto sends.
Yeah, and I think for some people they
simplified version.
Yeah, and I think for some people they don't even know that, right? Some people still think. I can remember years ago I was sitting next to Bill Allen, who's my partner and mentor, and he's got a whole marketing machine. I'm sitting next to him, and I get an email from him. I'm like, what? How is that possible? I'm like sitting next to you. He's like, dude, I haven't written an email in like 3 years. It was like light bulb moment for me. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so effective. I cannot believe that. Yep. So I think, we forget that people who want to do this, they may think you're in there jamming away at emails all day and like, gosh, she sends me so many emails. She must have all this time on her hands. Right. So I think that's really, really cool. I kind of want to go into, I just kind of want to wrap up. So people are probably super fascinated by what you do, male, female. I don't think it matters. You're a great digital marketer. Where can people see what you do, see what you have available to them? What services are you providing today? How are you helping people today, and where can they find it?
Yeah, so everything really starts from my website, which is just alliebjerk.com. And I'm sure you can put the spelling because it's weird in the notes so people can find it. Otherwise, I have tinyoffer.com. That's more on the tiny offer side of things. So really all of the, customer journeys, if you will, can start on that website. But as far as how we help clients, I have a membership that is for people who are kind of marketing curious or online business curious, want to start their personal brand. And that's called the Start Tiny Society. That's really about getting clarity about what you even could sell or, how to get started. And then I have a group coaching program that's called the Tiny Offer Accelerator. And that's like if you already have a thing, if you have a brand, but you want to learn ads or you want to learn funnels, that's inside of there. But then we also have some agency type services where we build it out for people.
Yeah.
Too. So all tiny offer focused. I mean, I really kind of found my niche, but can help a lot of people with it.
Well, it's a brilliant niche, right? You're starting kind of at the bottom of the value ladder and getting the right people in the room, and then finding other ways you can serve them along it, which I think it sounds so logical. It's I think it's easier said than done for sure. You've done a great job of perfecting that. I did have one question I wanted to ask you that I forgot. And I'm curious your perspective, totally opinion question. So people in our space, when I say our space, I just mean like entrepreneurs in general. Like I said, I've had salon owners, I've had real estate agents. I've actually had a lot of ladies on the show, to be honest. There's a lot of great business owners that I know in Florida. So I've had all these people. So let's use the real estate agent, maybe. A lady really talented at what they do. They're making good money, and they want to. Should they, if they're passionate and want to help other people, add this component of digital marketing and coaching to their business? Why or why not?
It's a really good question. And I think it's such a personal decision too. It's like, I think the people that have that little voice or that inkling that just won't go away, that says like, oh, you could be helping more people. Like I could help other people do what I'm doing. It's just kind of like this impact driven motivation. I think if somebody has that idea, it's probably not going to go away. It's just going to get louder and louder. So at some point, it's probably going to come out and have that personal brand side of things.
Yeah, I think
that answered your question.
No, I think it does. So like, I think you're saying, but I mean, what I'm hearing is if you've got this innate passion to help others, to teach, and you've perfected something that others would want to be helped in. So like, I'm thinking of the agent thing, and there's some like already big agent coaches out there, but you could locally coach people. It doesn't, I think for an agent in particular, they might think they need to attract people to be on their team to be real estate agents, and they just mentor them. They don't necessarily need to do that. They could build a program like how to be a great agent in this area program and sell them a course on it, or have like a weekly call mastermind type coaching group. They could do some coaching and I mean, really, they could make some meaningful money doing something that they love, which I think is a really cool part about it.
Yeah. Or even, if you've created assets to market your own business, I mean, you can package those up and sell them too. If it's like Canva templates or something like that. I mean, there's a lot of different directions you can take the passive income side of things, or the growing in a different direction or bringing in a different revenue stream. There's a lot of different ways to monetize.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think about, I know these agents who have systematized their own world. They've built great checklists. They've got all the digital products, like, how they're advertising their properties and all the process flows. They all do a really good job of documenting that. They could package that all up and bundle it and sell it for a couple $100, $1,000, 10 people buy $1,000 package a month. That's $10,000 a month. That's 120 grand a year just added to your bottom line, because you're not really spending any money unless you're starting to drive ads. And even then you can do that responsibly. So there's so many cool ways to add revenue streams aligned with your passion, to your point, that if you're passionate about it, though, I think there are two types of coaches I see. I see the guys and gals who did the thing really well and got asked so much for help that they almost felt like they had to do coaching, or they were just passionate about it. So they start saying, okay, I'll help you, but it has to be worth my time. So it's going to cost X amount of money, and now I'm going to be coaching you. Or I've seen the other version of that, which I don't love, which is I started in that same niche. I wasn't as successful making money, so maybe I'll be more successful teaching other people to do it making money, which kind of contributes to the bad part of our marketing and sales ecosystem.
Totally. Yeah, there's could be a whole other episode, but there's a whole movement of people reselling the same digital course over and over again. It's like this one brand where they taught people, if you want to make millions on the internet, all you have to do is sell this exact course that we already created. You can just go off and sell it. And I can't tell you how many people have come to me because they're like, this isn't working. They told me it was going to work. I just had to sell this course, but nobody's buying the course and I'm not making any money. But they haven't built a brand around it. There's no passion behind. They don't even know what's in the course. They're just trying to sell it, So I think there's some of that too. So I think if it's somebody who's done the thing and really wants to impact other people and make other people's lives easier by, just helping all the cream rise to the top, I think those are my people too.
Yeah, I agree. I think the challenge with these people, and my advice to anybody who's passionate, wants to help other people by coaching or providing them some products that they have forged through battle in whatever their profession is, whether it's an agent or digital marketer or a salon owner, doesn't really matter, is if you feel like you've done it mildly well, you've probably done it better than mildly well, because a lot of folks suffer from imposter syndrome. I don't know, am I good enough? Did I do it good? Am I even worthy to do this? I think if you have an inclination that you've done a decent job, you've probably done a pretty good job. Most entrepreneurs I find are the hardest person on themselves. If you're in that position and you want to sell something or coach, I think that's a really good position to go from. If you want to sell something or coach because you're not making money in the thing you're doing, you probably shouldn't be selling it.
Agreed.
So that's where I would say my acid test for kind of ethics and doing the right thing lies on that. But Allie, this is awesome. Yeah. I'm so glad I got an hour of your time today, because I know you're super busy and you're crushing. I'm super grateful for you. You guys can follow Allie on Instagram to be a part of her reality TV show.
Reality TV show, right?
She does post a lot of great content, and then alliebjerk.com is her website. And she has a ton of amazing products that are really anybody can benefit from them. Even though her niche is kind of different than mine, I still follow all of her stuff. I've even bought some of her stuff to kind of learn from her. So it's really good. You should definitely check it out. See all the things she has going on, from tiny offer up to group coaching to one-on-one coaching, everything. So she is definitely an expert in the space. And I feel very confident saying that. So thank you, Allie, so much.
Thanks so much, Adam. Glad to be here.